So now it's like, what do you say to people? Like, what do you say to people on the phone? Hey, how's your day? Where are you from? Don't meander. Don't do that. Maybe you can make small talk for a little bit, but you can see that when you start to get in this cycle, what we've seen with salespeople in the past is you start to talk about the weather for 5 minutes, and then it's like you kind of just worn out your welcome. So get to the point with people, try to solve their problems. And I think it's really important before we start talking about outbound scripts and showing you what you can actually do and showing you some kind of success examples. And eventually we'll give you a worksheet too, so you can start to craft out your script. So we made a README for all our new sales team members. And it's really important to have a solid market understanding of what you do. And if I scroll down here, there is market understanding, a business understanding. There's also always technical jargon that's involved. There's also frequently asked questions. And then there's, for us, there's tools, books to read, sales meetings, how to use email effectively. So this is basically a README for having systems that are already established. What I want you to pay attention to here is around the market understanding and then the business understanding. The other stuff you can cover later, but it is important for you to eventually create a technical jargon cheat sheet and a frequently asked questions sheet as well. That was really easy for people to follow along, and that way it's also easy for you to follow along too, because you are living the process, and it's very easy, it's very duplicable, and again, it's scale. So now let's jump into my screen. So let's take a look at it real quick. Let's look at the market understanding that I was talking about and the business understanding. Market understanding, Single Grain, the marketing agency, we focus on mostly software as a service and e-commerce. That's kind of the bread and butter for us. We will take on occasionally some other ones like a Uber or like a Lyft, for example. We mainly focus on around our paid advertising services. So that could be running ads on Facebook ads, Google ads, or Amazon ads as well. It's not like we're going to try to do all these other channels that nobody's ever heard of. Even though we do a lot of podcasting stuff, we don't necessarily do podcast advertising right now. So it's establishing what you currently do, because what happens is if you hire your first sales rep and they start selling a bunch of random stuff, they start agreeing to a bunch of stuff that you actually don't offer and it's not written here, you're not giving them a guiding post to follow, and it's basically on you for not training them in the first place. Also, our competitors, we're actually pretty friendly with some of the competitors in here, but it's important for people to understand who the competitors are exactly. The other thing too is what differentiates us. We talked about that a little earlier, but we list it here too. So it's important to understand that people can actually look at this README file and be like, okay, this is what differentiates us, and this is how we're separate from other agencies. We don't put, we don't necessarily put account managers on you. We do our own marketing. The proof is in the pudding. We're always innovating for accounts so they don't go on autopilot. That's kind of our main differentiating factor. And plus all the other stuff we do, podcasts, live events, we have our own software. It's all there. We put it out there. It's very easy for everyone to see. Okay, so business understanding. So our software as a service clients work by acquiring more customers, and then the key metrics they talk about. So LTV, CPA. If we're talking about yoga, for example, people are going to talk about Bikram yoga, or they're going to talk about yoga on the beach, or maybe there's all this different stuff out there that you need to figure out how to flesh out. So I don't know what your industry is. You got to figure that out, and we'll add a worksheet in there that you can basically follow. But we have for our software as a service clients and also for e-commerce too, and then our technical jargon cheat sheet. So really important that you establish that in the first place, and then you're able to actually create your sales outbound workflow. Now, what I like to do when it comes to sales outbound reach outs is there's a bunch of tools you can use. The tool I'm showing you right now, this is called Outreach. It is fairly expensive to get started, but there are other solutions out there, such as Mixmax. You can also use HubSpot, for example. HubSpot also has a sequencing tool as well. Basically, what I'm trying to propose to you here is that instead of you having to reach out to your dream client, you send one email, they don't respond, they're busy. What do? You have to wait 7 days, then you send out another email, then you wait another 7 days, send out another email, and then maybe another 7 days, you call them. Whatever it is exactly, whatever your cadence is exactly, you got to figure that out first. But the problem is you're a human, and humans tend to, they get busy, they start to make mistakes over time. But if you hand it over to a computer and you just have them focus on one thing, one piece of software, they will do it for you. You set the cadence. For us, it might be 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, 7, 7, 7, and then 14 days, 14 days, 14 days, then 28 days, 28 days. Basically, it's all there. It's following up with them constantly, and eventually they'll respond. Because a lot of people, they don't respond on the first shot. And like John Maxwell likes to say, the fortune is in the follow-up. A lot of people are really bad at following up. I guarantee you, if you can get the follow-up right, you're going to be ahead of 95% of people out there, and that's what's going to separate you from the other people, because people are just so bad at following up. So Here's an example right here where we're sending a bunch of emails out and we see that 58% of them opened it. That's extremely high. Now, if you think about email open rates, it's maybe about 20% nowadays. If you can craft a really good headline, you're gonna have, if you can get open rates higher than 50% or so, and if you get your reply rate ideally over, let's say 7 or 8%, you're gonna be in a good spot. Open rate is just obviously people just opening the email, and then reply rate is people actually sending you a reply. Whether it's positive or negative, it's at least a reply for you, and you're moving in the right direction. So the reply rate is almost kind of like how engaging your email actually is to get people to respond. And then you have your open rate, it's just, you know, how you've kind of picked their curiosity. The cool thing about a tool like Outreach is it allows us to A/B test, which is test one thread versus the other thread, and just see which one performs better. So we can see the second one over here has a 3% reply rate, and the third one here has a 0% reply rate. Not good. Probably should shut that one down. The first one we can see here has a 1.8% reply rate with the same open rate. So the idea here is you're constantly optimizing. You're changing the titles. You're changing the body of the actual email content. Okay. So that's day one. But remember, humans are bad at follow-up because we forget things. Now, day four will be basically they'll send another email. Now, I've got two different sequences here. I'm not going to show you how to use the tool exactly, but one is actually a reply in the original email. So one email, and then there's actually a reply. And then the other one is a completely new thread. The completely new thread has a 3.9% reply rate, 46% open rate. The one that is threaded, the first one, 35% and 3.1% reply rate. That's a 26% increase in the conversion rate. So you keep making tweaks like this and you don't have to think as much, right? The less you can think, the better. You're gonna drop emails into here. You're gonna do the prospecting stuff that I showed you in the other video, and then you're gonna have a system that works, right? We have day 1, day 4, day 8, day 15. Probably should add more emails here. But if you keep doing it that way, again, we keep talking about systematizing things. This is a very easy way to systematize things just to get going on the outbound side of things. And let's not forget about phone calls. Depending on the niche that you're in, let's say you're talking to people that are much older, maybe we're talking 60, 70, 80 plus, they like using the phone. Okay, you gotta think about the industry that you're in too. For us, because we're in tech, a lot of them don't like picking up the phone. Me, I get a ton of calls days. I actually don't pick up my phone. It's really hard to reach me over the phone. So it just depends on who you're talking to and how they generally react. Always think about where your audience is hanging out and how they react to things, and put yourself in their shoes, and then start to reach out to people that way. But I'm telling you, figure out the business and marketing understanding first. That's gonna allow you to make a much easier outbound sequence. If you look at this one over here, I'll show you the first one. Let's see this. So this is feedback from company. So right here, I can actually customize it a little bit where, let's say I want to work with Nike, for example, it'll become feedback from Nike. So I can add in these other variables, and then it basically looks like, we aren't just kind of writing the same email to everyone, because people can sense that, right? So feedback from Nike. Let's say your name is Noah. So Noah, my name is Eric, and I want to get your feedback on an SEO product that we have in private beta right now. In short, it helps you grow your organic traffic without more backlinks or new content necessary. Translation, more traffic and revenues while reducing costs. Here's an overview video. It would be great if I could share this with you and get your feedback for 10 to 15 minutes. It'll be quick. Are you up for it? Instead of saying, come buy my stuff, instead of writing a wall of text, instead of writing, an essay, a novel for people, make it very simple, make it very digestible, customize it for people, and it's gonna become way easier because people are busy. You're busy too. It's people don't want to read your novel. Think about that for a second. Save time, solve their problems, and if it resonates, they'll actually respond. I'm telling you, this template right here, it's closed with some pretty big clients and got some pretty big customers to actually respond. And not only that, look at Outreach over here. Look, I'm testing it, and you can see, okay, it says, Keith, my name is Eric, and I want to get your feedback on this product we have. And it says feedback from IBM, for example. So I don't have to I don't have to type everything out for all these 3,000 emails that I sent out. It's all done for me, okay? So whether you're using Mixmax, whether you're using Outreach, whatever it is exactly, eventually you are going to need to have an ability to sequence this stuff out. But again, start with the market understanding, the business understanding, create your sequences, and then you will be off to the races on the outbound side of things.